Welcome in, everybody. We've got kind of looks like a slow start here, just a few students. That's okay. Hopefully we'll get a few more coming in the next few minutes, which kind of leads into a little bit of an issue that we have. So I put out a recent announcement about the class meetings because there's still people that are missing some pretty obvious information. Not obvious in the sense that like it's posted and we covered it. So obvious isn't the right word. Available is what I meant. A lot of the information that's available is somehow been missed by a number of students. So remember, for this class, there are class meetings of which there are recordings. You need to watch them, right? I still have a number of students that seem very confused about the basics of how the course works. So check into that. Okay, so another one, I got an email which I haven't had a chance to respond to, but if it's you, there was a question about how to set up the free access for the online math homework. Right here in the very first orientation module, there's a page on how to do that. Now, I don't know if it works this late into the semester. Since we're like a month in or more than a month in, or 6 weeks in, I don't know how that works, if it's still available, but you can try it. Go through these steps. But remember, if you haven't got your if you haven't already purchased the license for the homework, it's free this semester. Just go to the bookstore, tell them what class you're in, and they will give you the free full license. Like, not the free trial, just the full license free for the rest of the semester. You don't have to pay for it. Okay, so do that. If you don't want to go to the physical bookstore, it's getting harder and harder each day. The school's rules about vaccines and all that kind of stuff, all those complicated things are starting to take effect. So some of you may not be able to get on campus. If you're vaccinated, you're good, as long as the school has been shown proof that you're vaccinated. But if you contact the bookstore either by email or phone, they will help you out as well, right? The bookstore wants to give these out because for each one of these free licenses that they give out, the school reimburses them. So it may seem like, oh, that's really nice. The bookstore is giving out free licenses. No, the college is paying them to give out those free licenses. So if that's you, just come follow here, this one right here, how to upgrade to full My Lab access, which right now is free, right? Right now it's free, paid for by the school. The school pays the bookstore, which is a private entity, but the school pays them to give them to you. So use that, okay? Here's your directions if you want to get all that set up. But basically, just contact the bookstore, and you should be good to go. Okay, we did, and I think like I say, I'm getting these emails now of students that don't quite seem to understand how the class is set up or how it's operating, and I'm trying to get those students informed, but it's a little bit of a slow process here. That's probably why we had such poor participation in the survey itself, but we can't wait around any longer. Right, the results need to be released. It's unfortunate that we only have an N of 20. Right, that's our sample size, smaller than I would have liked for sure. But we have to move forward, right? So a couple things of note. You can start working on the project stuff that's due, right? You already did these. I believe those have both been graded. Now you've got take the survey. So remember where you went to take the survey, at least those 20 of you that did it. If you go there, you notice now there's some more information than what was there before. So below is the results. As below are the results. Below is, yeah, it should be below are. Let's edit that. Below are the results from the survey that you all took in class. Use this data for your class project. Make sure you have recently logged into StatCrunch. Otherwise, sometimes when you try to click over, it's going to like not recognize that you have an account. So sometimes you'll need to make sure you go into StatCrunch through the homework or something, so it kind of logs you in, and then use the link. But I think I've got the link set up. I'll show you that in just a second. In the data you're going to be looking at, each column, each vertical column, so columns are vertical like in a bank or Roman architecture. You have columns, they go up and down. Columns don't go sideways, right? So you can always remember columns are vertical, rows are horizontal. So they always the way to remember that, they always have you think farming has rows and they're horizontal. Like Roman architecture has columns, they're vertical, right? Important note, which I'll show you in just a minute. The column numbers are off by 1 because there is no 0 column. There is a 0 column, but no 0 question. So the numbers don't match up perfectly. They're off by 1. So you have to keep that in mind. It's a mistake I see people do in their projects where they have one question and they're like, it'll be question 25 and they use column 25 as their results. It doesn't work because it's off by 1. So you want to just take a look and make sure that I'll go into it in depth, but make sure you realize what kind of data you're looking for. You're now ready to start working on your projects for the end of the semester. So the way that looks is, by the way, try this link out. So the problem is it's kind of complicated to set this up, and if I don't do it right, the students can't get in. But when I click it, it lets me, right? So like when I click this, watch, it takes me to the data, which we'll be looking at today. But sometimes if I don't do it just right, it still lets me get to it, but it doesn't let students. So please try this link that's right here under Take the Survey. Click Survey Results. And if someone could confirm for me that it is letting you in, that it lets you in and now you see the data, then I can just sort of rest knowing that I have that link set up properly. Because like I say, if you don't do it right, then it makes it like, if I don't have all the settings just right, it won't let you see the data. So if someone could click that and let me know, I'd appreciate it. Okay, where was I? So let's go back to our modules. And then you can start doing the other stuff that is related to the project. So you've done these already. We took the survey. Okay, so for instance, here you've got you have almost a week to do the survey question summary. I'll show you a little bit of that today. And then you've got a couple weeks to do the visuals. What you want to be doing here, right? The object is not to get through this as fast as you can so you can move on. The object is to do these parts of your project while it's fresh in your mind. While you're working on that chapter, you do the information. Because if you wait another 6 weeks and then try to do all this, you're going to forget a lot of this stuff. But if you do a good job right now, okay. So if you do this right now, you'll remember it a little bit better. So it's not letting you in. I have a student saying it's not letting them click the link. You don't see the link, or it's not letting you. Let's see. Let's see. Am I in the right one? So this is the 15-week class, and it should be right under here. So someone's saying they don't see the link. It's right here at the bottom, survey results. Oh, it's not letting you access them? Darn it. Okay, I went through this morning and I spent a couple hours making it all right, what I thought was right. Okay. Oh, but you only see the survey link, but so you're not seeing this? Like when you go into the Take the Survey, you don't see this one at the bottom? Do you have to scroll down maybe? You might have to scroll a little bit to where you're not seeing this link. Is anyone else able to see this? It would be helpful if we could get a few people looking at this, because then we can try to figure this out. So as students, when you go into the part that says Take the Survey, your page doesn't look like this? So we have 8 people in the stream right now and 2 on Zoom. If we could get a couple of people so that I can get this set up, a couple people try to confirm for me, because I'm hearing that the link is not there. So if you're just watching, if you could participate, that would be super helpful so I can set this up for you. We have one student trying to help, but it would be nice if I got confirmation that link is not there. Oh, okay. So so then that's okay. So then the question is when the student clicks the link, does it open? Does it do like it did for me, where it opens the data? It shows the results. Okay, awesome. Thanks to everybody who hopped in there and participated. I appreciate that. That's super helpful because, like I say, it always lets me see the results, so I can't always know when it's not letting students. So it looks like it's working fine. Great. To all of you who helped me with that, give yourself a pat on the back. I appreciate it. Great. So that means that we're good to go to move forward, and you can start working on your projects. So that's great, and we can see how to do it. And it's okay if it was a little confused along the way. That's okay. That's why we're doing it together in class, so that everyone understands how to get there, right? So no worries. We all got it figured out together. Okay, so then you're going to go down and you're going to do these things like the survey question summary and the project visuals. So you have a little bit of time on those. So what do? Well, you open up this. We've opened up StatCrunch, and here it is. Okay, what are we supposed to do with this? Well, let's see. And actually, I need to open the survey as well, because I need to show you the difference. Oh, see, it doesn't have me signed. Why doesn't it have me signed in on this one? Oh, right. That's where it is under the it's under the take the survey. Right. Okay, it's not letting me see the results here. I'm going to have to do something off screen because I don't want to accidentally expose any grades. So let me try something here. Let me try to do this off screen. Somehow I ended up closing the actual survey itself, which is not what I wanted to do. Just give me 1 second. Here we go. Okay, so here's what I want to show you because this is important. So see how on our data, I'm going to have to move this over. So there's different ways of counting things. Those of you who ever end up taking computer science, you'll realize that a lot of times in computer languages, things start counting with 0, which is kind of weird, right? Normally you'd start with the 1 position, but sometimes things start counting with 0, and that's how things end up getting programmed. Well, that's causes us a little bit of a mismatch here. Because see how this is just response IDs, and also note, like, no one knows these response IDs, so no one can match up your stuff. I don't even think I can. Maybe there's a way I could go in, but I don't know how to do it where I could like figure out who said what. I like it to just be anonymous. That way people don't feel pressure to hide stuff. But see how this data right here, this column, so these are all the results from the first question. But see how it's called Q0? But in the actual survey, it's called question 1. So how tall are you in inches? The answers are actually in Q0. So that's what I'm saying, where all the values are off by 1. Yeah, that's right, Juan. So now you can use the data that is now released, and you can start using that to do your visuals and the other project assignments. Right, that's exactly what we're doing. Exactly. So notice there's a mismatch. The answers to question 1 are under Q0. The answers to question 2 are under Q1. The answers to question 3 are under Q2. So it gets a little confusing. Now, sometimes it's obvious. If you ask a numerical question and you get a bunch of yes/no answers, you're going to go, oh, that's right, they're off by 1. But sometimes students miss that, and then they end up using the wrong column. So just be careful with that and pay attention. Here's another issue, right? So the first question, very straightforward. How tall are you in inches? Well, And all this stuff that we're going over, this is real world stuff you have to deal with whenever you do this kind of work, right? So don't think, oh, well, it's just because people were in stats and they didn't know what they were doing. A lot of times when people participate in surveys, they don't know what they're doing, right? So, look what we have here. We have a bunch of answers, and people answered different ways. 64 IN period, 62 inches, 72 in. Some people answered with just numbers. Here they use symbols, which StatCrunch doesn't even recognize. That's what this little question mark is. It says this isn't even a symbol you're supposed to use in StatCrunch. So that's okay. But what that means is if you're the person who this is a question you're using, you're going to have to create a new column and fix this data. So you just kind of copy the column over and then go through and fix it, because watch what happens here. Oh, it's not darn it. It's not letting me do analysis on here. That's super weird that it's not. Maybe it will on this link. Here we go. So this is a similar link. So watch what happens. So, and this is something you're going to be doing for your summary stats, right? This is one of the ones you want to go through and look at. So here's how you do it, right? You've got your data. I go to stat, summary stats, columns. I pick Q0 and I hit compute, and it gives me a whole bunch of information about what we're talking about, okay? Now, here's what I'm going to say. A lot of using StatCrunch is about remembering the right buttons to push and where is the menu that I want, and it gets really confusing. I get confused by it, right? If I say I teach stats in the spring and then I don't teach stats in the summer and then I come back and teach it in the fall, I have to sit there and remind myself, like, okay, how did I graph the regression line? How do I do that? So here's what I do as the professor. So if I do it as the professor, totally reasonable for you to do as a student. I go to YouTube and I type in StatCrunch regression or StatCrunch correlation or StatCrunch confidence interval. Whatever it is I'm trying to do, I just look in YouTube, StatCrunch, space, whatever the thing is I'm looking for, and someone's going to have a video that shows you exactly how to do it. So if you forget how I did this and you don't want to watch the whole class again, you just go into YouTube and type in StatCrunch summary stats or something like that. Try a few different things. One of those top videos is going to show you, there's a lot of times, there's a bunch of them that are like, they're 2-3 minutes a piece, and they tell you exactly what buttons to push. It's super, super helpful, right? I use it when I forget, like, because it's easy to forget, oh, was the thing I want under stat, or was it under data, or was it under graph? That's what you're going to use most of the time, is these three, and most of the time it's really going to be like these two, okay? But data gets used sometimes, which I'll show you at some point, okay? So let's do that again. So I went to stat, I went down to summary stats, columns, and then you pick the columns that you want to study. So let's say I want to study Q0, I hit compute, but there's some problems here, right? We go, oh, great, that's great. It gave me the mean. It gave me the standard deviation. Look, I've got my median, my range, my min, my max, my Q1, my Q3. But what's wrong? My N is 13. Why is my N 13 if 20 people took the survey? My N is 13 because it doesn't know how to read these answers with words in them. When it goes to take the mean, it says, well, this isn't numerical. 62 and the word inches, I can't take the mean of a word, so it skips it. So you're missing 7 data values. Now, we're already short at 20 people. We already have too few data values. You don't want to lose any more. So what you should do is create a new column where you just go in through and fix it. So like you'd go to 64, and then you would just, get rid of the IN part. Go to 62, delete the inches part. Go to 72, delete the IN part. Go here, delete the weird symbol. And you go through that, then all of a sudden you're going to get all the data that you need. You'll get all 20 of those data points. Okay? For in this class where we had such low participation in the survey, you really want to get those 20 points. It's going to make the rest of your work a lot easier to do. And it'll give you more to talk about. Okay, so some of you are going to have to clean up your data a little bit. Now, there's nothing unethical about that because you're not changing it. You're not going to come in here and change when you delete the IN period. You're not going to change this to 67. You're just putting it in the form that the computer can read the data that you want it to read. Okay, so you're going to do that. Here's one thing I want to tell you. Nobody owns these questions, right? Any question in the survey you can use. So if you realize that some of your questions just weren't as good as you thought they were, then abandon them and pick something else from the survey, right? You can't go, oh, well, do I need to get permission to use someone else's question? Nope. Use any survey question in here if you want. Because the truth is, some of you came up with questions that are related to each other, but you just didn't think of using those kind of questions. Well, if you when reading the survey, you might have gone, oh, that's a really good question. We should have asked that one. That would give us a good regression line to show. Well, then just use it. It's not a problem, right? We don't have ownership here. We all created this survey, and you can all use it. So, if you want to completely abandon your questions and grab some other ones, that's fine. Some people, at times realize their questions, the data is so messed up that it's unusable. Switch to other questions, okay? Okay, so you go through, clean that up. Like this one, pretty good. I don't know if it's going to read. Let's try it. Let's see what it'll do if I do summary stats on Q1, because it might have some problems. So let's do Q1, compute. Only 17 data values. So you should check that. We're missing 3. What are they? Well, this is probably one right here. This is definitely a problem because there's a word in it. And I think the other ones are these, 9.5. I don't think StatCrunch understands 9.5. Convert those to 6.5 and 9.5, and then just change this one to 11 with no period and no size. I think you're going to get all 20 data values working for you, okay? So you just have to clean it up a little bit and make sense of it a little. So there's that, right? A lot of these columns just need, it'll take you a minute to do that, to go through and clean stuff up. Right, so, and then as far as making visuals, so let's see. Let's go into graph. I want to make a histogram, and I want to do it on what? Q20. Let's go oh, wait, not histogram. Bar plot. Go Q20. Compute. Now, you can see there's a problem here with this data. So all I did was go in, I picked a column that it was probably something like, let's look. What's your favorite holiday, I suspect? What is your favorite holiday? Okay. Now, that one, you could have done this problem where you listed holidays. Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, 4th of July, right? Those are kind of some big ones. But a lot of people celebrate different holidays. So it would be kind of hard to make a big comprehensive list. You throw in, you start throwing in cultural holidays and stuff like that. You're going to get a really big list. So it kind of made sense in this case. You leave it open as what is your favorite holiday. But look how messed up our data is here. Look, Christmas actually occurs 3 different times. Why is that? Because people spelled it differently. One person accidentally put a period at the end of Christmas. StatCrunch is counting that as different. Some people, apparently 4 people, like Christmas, but they spelled it with a lowercase c, right? So this is not a good bar graph. This is terrible because we haven't cleaned up our data yet. This looks like we don't know what we're doing. So what you need to do is go in, change these ones with Christmas, find the one with a period. Oh, here it is right here. It's a period at the end. Get rid of that period. Find the ones that are lowercase, like here. Change it to uppercase, lowercase, lowercase. So find those and fix them. And then when you do that, then you're going to have the 3 holidays and a bar graph that shows a better version of your outcomes, right? And all of these can be saved, and you can even export them as like a PNG or something that later you can just slip into your presentation. Okay, so it's up to you how you want to do it. The more work you do now on each of these parts of the project means the less work you're going to be doing in the last week when you're putting your video together. Okay, so keep that in mind. Right. Okay. So that's a thing to consider. Say we wanted, otherwise say we wanted, what was Q10? Let's see, what's Q10? Probably another version of age. The age question was asked in a few different ways. So that's why it ended up a couple times on the survey, because it was people used a little bit different wording, and sometimes a little bit different wording gets different results. So I kind of wanted to honor the way they wanted to ask it. So what is your age? Okay, so we have ages here. We're going to have to see this one stands out. Oh, we're going to have to fix that before it works right. So you just go in there, highlight it, fix it, and then do your work. But let's say, so I want to do a graph. This time I want to do a histogram because this is numerical data. I want to do it on Q10. So I go to Q10, hit compute, and there I've got my histogram. Okay. Now, here's what I'll say. Very often, your first histogram that it automatically computes for you might not be very good. It might not be, you might want to change it around, and it's super easy to do. So I recommend before you use a histogram in your project, try like 4 or 5 different histograms. Look how easy it is to make them. It only takes a few minutes to make a bunch of different versions. And a lot of times you're going to find one and go, oh, I like that one. So in all of your visuals, they should always be fully labeled. Q10 is not a label. There's no label. There's no title here. If you hand this to someone, they're going to have no idea what this represents. Your goal when you give someone a visual for your statistics is that they don't have to ask you any questions. They shouldn't have to ask you, what are we counting? Like right here, I have no idea what we're counting, right? What is going on here? I mean, I know because I'm the one who made this, but no one else will know. What is Q10? I don't know what Q10 means, right? So you're going to go in here to your options, you edit it, and look, they give you some stuff. They give you some choices. For starters, here's your graph labels. Here's your graph labels right here. X-axis, Y-axis. So your Y-axis could be, let's see, this is the number of people. The title for the thing would be age of stats class students. And the x-axis, remember, you always want to tell people what you're measuring and then give them the unit, right? So like time is not good enough. Is that time in minutes? Is that time in hours? Is that time in days, weeks, years? What are we measuring? So here we could just do age. And age is almost always measured in years, but it just looks a little professional. Throw it in there anyways. Throw that unit in there. And then maybe I didn't like the bin size that they were using or I don't like the starting point or the width for that bin size. Like right now, the bin size appears to be what? Here's 2. I think the bin size is 2 right now, if I'm reading this right. Maybe I don't want that. Maybe I want the bin size to be 1. So I'm going to go in here and change it to 1 and go compute. Oh, see how that's a very different looking graph than we just had a minute ago? I would actually, first of all, it's all properly labeled. Everything here is labeled. So when I give this to someone, they go, oh, I have a typo, which I need to fix. But they look at this and say, oh, okay, this is the age of students in a statistics math class. Okay, here's their age in years, and here's how many of them. Oh, look, we have a lot of people that are 18 and 19, right? See how I didn't have to ask questions. Everything is obvious about what my data is representing. That's what you want. When I see project visuals on in your final project that are not labeled, that's an immediate markdown, right? And also, I would argue this is a more informative picture where I changed it to the bin size of 1, where the default was bin size of 2. I think this is more telling than that one we just looked at. So you go, okay, this is see how it took me 2 tries to get a good one? Just try 3 or 4 or 5 different versions. Like, how long did that take me? I mean, it took me an extra time because I was explaining it. But if I wanted to go in there and try different stuff, I could do it in 20 seconds, right? So it's not like I'm asking you to spend an hour coming up with a good histogram. I'm asking you to spend like 2-3 minutes to come up with a good histogram for each problem, or the appropriate problems, right? So that's how you do that. And then you can save these, right? You can save it. You can download it. Like if I was you, I would have a file on my desktop called Statistics Final Project, And whenever I do something and I go, no, this is good. I just spent some time. I got this good. Like, let's fix that. Let's fix that typo because that doesn't look very good. That makes me look silly when people look at my stuff. So I'm now going to compute it again. Okay, that looks good. I'm really happy with this. I'm probably going to save it, and I'm also going to download it, and I'm going to put it in a file, probably a sub-file in that folder, where I've got the folder on my desktop that says Statistics, Final Project, and inside of there, I'm probably going to have a subfolder that says Visuals, and I'm just going to put all my visuals in there. That way, in 6 weeks, when I go to put the project together, I've got all my visuals ready to go. I don't have to go like redo any of that work or rethink it or figure it out. They're just all right there, right? All ready for me. Okay, so you're going to do that. Again, making sure that you've got the off by 1. Wait a minute. How was? Oh yeah, because it was question. And remember, it was question 11. What is your age in years? But the answers were in Q10. You got to keep that in mind, right? Okay, so so cleaning up the data, using those basics. So we looked at how to get your summary stats for your basic questions, right? You're going to go through, do that for each of your questions, and then you're going to post those in that part about summary stats. Then you're going to look at the project visuals. Which visuals do you need? If it was me, it's worth it to me to probably spend a total of 30 minutes to come up with multiple graphs, multiple visuals for each question. Now, that doesn't mean I should just use every visualization I can come up with, but you might have questions where showing 2 or 3 different visuals can be helpful. Maybe a histogram is all you need to show for one question, but I would at least explore, because a lot of times in statistics, we don't just plug in one thing and go there, that tells the whole story. We'll do like 3 things, like measures of center. There are times when you should measure, or when you should mention both the mean and the median. Sometimes it's one or the other. Sometimes you use both, right, to make the case that you're trying to make for your data. Okay, so do that. Oh, let's see. Let me catch my train of thought here. What else do I want to show you while we're looking at this? Some of these questions are going to be hard because there's so many different answers. So look at this one, question 49. So question 50 was probably, what's your preferred method of exercise? Is it 50 I want? Yeah. What is considered a hard workout for you? Well, in this case, people use lots of different answers. HIIT workout. Let's see. Is that the... Oh, and you can grab the end. See how the symbol changed when I put it up here? That means I can open this a little bit more and see more of the answers. But see how everyone kind of gave a different answer here? That might not be super helpful in order to... So you might go, yeah, you know what? And you might be able to use this. It depends on what you're trying to do. But you might look at this question and go, yeah, that didn't turn out the way we thought it would. That's why you're able to use other questions in the entire survey. If you want to abandon this question because you go, that didn't come out right, go ahead and pick something else. And remember, your final project at the end of the semester is really about communicating to me your learning. It's not about presenting a professional statistics project, right? Because it's an introductory class. You're not professionals. So what you like, I think a lot of times students think that their presentation has to look perfect. I'm trying to figure out what you learned. And yeah, by showing me the good work that you did, that shows me that you learned. But it's also helpful for me if you tell me the mistakes you made along the way and what you learned from them, right? So I've had groups or students in the past where they wrote a question and it just they didn't get answered the way they expected it to, so they couldn't really use the data. That's okay to talk about it. Say, yeah, I had a question and every single answer was different, so I wasn't really able to apply the type of statistical tools that we were working on. And so in the future, when I have to ask a question like that, I'll realize that maybe I should have given people 5 choices to choose from, or 10 choices to choose from, or something like that. So there's this tendency in our society where everyone's always trying to hide their mistakes. We're all trying to pretend like we're perfect, and every time we make a mistake, we hide it away so that no one ever knows. Like, don't be like that. If you made a mistake it's a learning process, right? That's how you learn, is by making mistakes. So if you have a part of your project that went poorly, tell me about it, and then tell me what you learned from it. Because then I go, oh, okay, yeah, I'm not going to mark them down because they're like, oh, -2 points on the project because their question was not stated well. If you learned from that experience, tell me about it, right? I might actually go, oh, that's probably worth an extra 2 points because they made this mistake and they were able to learn from it. They're learning the process. So don't like hide your mistakes, right? It's not like we're trying to publish in a journal or something. Like, do the best you can to make it look good, but don't leave stuff out or try to cover up mistakes that were made, because that usually just comes off, when people try to cover things up, it just comes off as looking like you don't know what you're doing, because there's kind of a sense of like, why aren't they talking about this thing that was part of their project? Where if you just say, yeah, this part of the project got messed up, here's why, here's what we do next time, then I know you learned something from it. Let's see. Yep, a little more massaging here is going to have to be done to the data. That's just kind of what they refer to it as, like when you change the data a little bit. We've got different answers here, right? So someone put they like mint chocolate, and someone's got mint chip. We've got mint chip, mint in chip. So that's 3 different people in the class. Actually 4. I see 4 different ways of answering. They all like the same ice cream, but they all are going to look different. So watch if I go in here and we count, let's make a histogram from Q64. Oops, I keep doing that. Don't want a histogram. I want a bar chart, bar plot. Bar plot with data. Q64. Compute. We're going to have to blow this up. You can't quite see it. That's crazy small. But you can see this is mint chocolate chip. 2 people like that one. This is mint chip. Down here, there's a mint in chip, mint chocolate chip. So what really should all be counted as like 5 people is really spread over like 4 different bars. So you're gonna want to combine that, go into the data, and just make them all say mint chocolate or mint chip or whatever consistent way you want to represent that. You would change all the mint ones, mint chip chocolate ones, whatever version it is. You change it to that. Then it will graph it appropriately. Okay. Here's a good one. Here's one where I think people were given an option. Probably, what's your favorite meal? Something like that. Let's see. 67. Or 68. Do you prefer breakfast or dinner? See how here the answers are going to be consistent because you're choosing from a word. We're not relying on people misspelling breakfast or saying lunch when we really wanted to know about breakfast and dinner. So when we go there and we do Q67, when I do the histogram for Q67, I should absolutely know better. Why do I keep doing that? It's because I'm thinking about what I'm saying rather than what I'm doing. So go into bar plot and do 67. Compute it. Here we go. I can see right there. There's no. I mean, it needs to be labeled and everything. It needs proper labels. But here we go. Here's the people who answered breakfast. Here's the people who answered dinner. Right? So that's possibly a thing to learn from going forward, right? So you should change this to a proper label. So just go through your data, try to make sense of it as best you can. Try to make it so it's consistent, that the people who answered effectively the same, their answers all look the same. Otherwise, you're going to run into problems. What was that last question? Hot, cold? Do you prefer hot or cold weather? Okay. So, and you can see in our data, the hot and colds are all, oops. My screens are getting messed up here. There we go. You can see the hot and cold are all consistent because they were choices to actually choose from. So some of you will have less cleaning up to do of your data. Some of you will have a little bit more. All right, so you should at this point be able to do those first two, which are survey questions, summaries, and project visuals. I just showed you some various ways of doing those. Play around with it. Play around with different things. Make some box plots. Make some histograms. Make some bar plots. If you really want, make a pie chart, although pie charts are sort of frowned upon in statistics. But if you really think it's a good tool, use that. Dot plots, whatever you think tells a good story. And again, you're not like, don't always go like, oh, well, I should only have one. If you have two graphs that are enlightening about your question, use them both, right? That's going to make a more interesting video if you show two different good graphs versus just one, right? So try to take care of that. We will in the future talk about correlation and how to do that on the, well, I guess we've been talking about we were supposed to talk about correlation a little bit today. We didn't get through that. So I'm actually going to extend this. You still have some time on the project part of it, although you probably wouldn't want to wait. But I'll actually extend these homeworks so that you have a little bit more time, because I was going to talk about a little bit on that today, but we had to talk about the survey data. So I will extend this date. Do I still have it open over here? Let's see, the 15-week. I can actually extend it right now while we're looking at it. So assignment manager. Change dates and assign. I'm going to move that to be after class on Wednesday. So Thursday I'm going to make those due. The chapter 4 stuff is going to get moved to Thursday because I didn't get a chance to talk about it all today. And some of it's pretty important. Some of it's quite important for the course, and then also for some of you it might be the coolest looking part. The coolest visual you have might come from this correlation, right? It certainly can be a little more interesting than just like, okay, here's another histogram. Great. So let's go ahead and we'll move that to be the 28th. Oh, I think I messed up some. You know what I did? Oh no, those look right. I did it right. I thought maybe I messed up the dates on these, but they're looking right. Okay. Okay, so that'll gives you a little bit of more time to talk about the correlation stuff. So because I was going to show you today how to do this. In fact, I could probably show you really quick, but it's too quick to really like expect you to. So for those of you who want to work on it, I'll kind of show you. But we want. Actually, none of this data is cleaned up good enough. Looks like it's all going to require a little bit of work. I'll show you next time. Actually, well, the way you're going to do it, once you get your two columns cleaned up, so we'd go through, get rid of hours here, whatever this answer is, convert it to some number. And then what you're going to do is you go to, is it stat, regression, simple linear, and then you use that. So you can play around with that. Those of you who want to jump into it and start getting your good regression line taken care of. Otherwise, we will continue with things next time. So you can do that. And then we'll move ahead and start talking about probability. So next time we'll wrap up. I'll show you least squares regression lines and how to do it in StatCrunch and how to use them and think about them and what they mean. And then we'll get started on probabilities. Okay? So anyone who has any question, hop into Zoom and ask me those questions. So I know there's still, so chapter 4 is extended. Yeah. I don't know if it'll populate yet in here. No, it's not showing up yet in here, but it should have over here. Yeah, chapter 4. Is this the right class? Yeah, the 15-week. This is the 15-week class that takes place on Monday, right? Yeah, 15-week Monday. Yeah, so you get a couple extra days to work on chapter 4. Okay? If you have any questions for me, right? I'm getting some of the questions of students that are not understanding how the course is working. They're asking questions that are like way more complicated than really is an email appropriate. So like it would be really helpful if we could just talk face to face. So if you're trying to set up the homework, come talk to me in Zoom. If you're trying to, you don't understand where stuff is on Canvas, come talk to me in Zoom. Any question that you have that's holding you back from moving forward in this class, come talk to me in Zoom, okay? And then remember, I do have my Zoom office hours today from 11 to 2. I don't remember if I can't remember which classes I mentioned in this end and which ones I didn't. I no longer have to have my office hours on campus. The union and the school sort of worked it out. So those office hours on Monday from 11 to 2 will happen in Zoom. So all you have to do is use that same Zoom link you use for the class meetings. Come talk to me, and then I can help you out and point you in the right direction so that you can move forward with the class. Okay? So thanks everybody. Yeah, come see me in Zoom if you have questions. Otherwise, I will see you in a couple days and be trying to make sense of that stuff so you can bring questions to me, right? Come to me in office hours or wherever with those questions on how you're using StatCrunch. If it's not clear to you, I know it's weird. Some people have never used a program like that. That's okay. Come with me and I can walk you through how to do the things you need to do, and then you can start focusing on the statistics part. Okay, thanks everybody.